Welcome to the Race Factory. My name is Frode Sundsdal and I am a racer and a race organizer. Tonight's live stream is going to be special. One of America's most talented drivers will join me here live. Shaun Torrente, a UIM F1 World Champion, 2 times actually, and last year he made it a double with the X-Cat title as well. So tonight we would like all of you to post comments, questions for me or Shaun. Anything will go. We will try to answer to our best ability. But before we meet Shaun, have a look at this one.
The lights go out, the race is on. Torrente, the World Championship.
I just pushed like crazy, and once I was in third, I knew I was in striking distance. I just kept putting the pressure on, and finally the 7 broke, and man, I saw it with a lap to go. I couldn't believe it, and my radio man's going crazy. I'm trying to hold it together for one more lap, and I couldn't believe it, man. It was awesome. I'm so thankful for these guys and everything they do for me. We just fight to the end. Today was exactly who we are. We just fight and fight and fight and fight until we get what we need.
And here he is, the man out of Florida, Shaun Torrente. Hi, Shaun.
Hey, how are you?
Not too bad, not too bad. Pleased that you would... it was actually Marit who challenged me to invite you. I didn't think I was going to go for the world champion in Formula 1 as my second guest, but thank you very much for accepting.
I'm happy to be here, and seeing that clip gives me goosebumps still. That was a great day back in Sharjah for the last 2 years, and just happy to be here. Let's have some fun.
Definitely. We are having this as a live stream, and people are already sending in comments from Spain and from Poland and Norway and so on. So we are going to invite people to interact with us. If they have questions for Shaun, I'm sure he will be happy to answer to them. Shaun, I would like to talk through your racing career basically today, and I mean, I've been doing a lot of research on YouTube, and you know, I've seen you since you came over to the Formula 1 back in all the way back in 2007, I guess. So you were starting racing full time in 11.
Had a cup of coffee, just a second, with Rainbow team. We broke an engine in practice, and I never got to go back out again. But it was nice to at least see what the situation was.
Showed up and showed your face and started to make some networking. Absolutely,
yes.
Well, you know what? Before we do that and start to talk, I found this little clip which I would like to share with the Facebook viewers. Have a look at this little YouTube clip which I found of Shaun from his introduction to the sport.
Competitiveness, it's a positive thing and a crutch I've had my whole life. It's just the way I was born. But as far as the actual racing part goes, my father raced in a small club in Miami when I was a kid. I was 9, 10 years old. At boat racing, and it was mini boats is what it was. It was like a 25, a 30, a 40, or a 50 horse engine. Those were the classes. He did really well. He ended up running that deal for a little while, and then he started to try to race nationally and had to get into a capsule, which is basically going from just the boat you're sitting in to what you see today where you're strapped in. This was kind of the time everything was switching. I was 12 or 13. And before that, I had run a bunch of boats, just testing them and just playing with them, nothing serious, and wasn't old enough yet. And he bought his first capsule boat and tried to race, and he just couldn't get used to being strapped in. He just couldn't make the transition. And so one day he was trying to test, and I said, "Well, you know, Dad, let me make a few laps. You know, let me try." He's like, "All right, that's fine." So I strapped into the boat, and I was like 3 seconds a lap faster than he was in like 2 laps. I mean, it was insane. It was crazy. And he's like, "Well, okay, I guess I'm retired." And we lied about my age, and I started racing.
So you
Then
like you
that was a
like
long time ago. That was a long time ago, but it felt like yesterday, man. That's pretty much what happened. And then I started racing, man. I started racing 45. 45 was an amazing class in the U.S. It's still an amazing class today. It's a little 12-foot tunnel boat with a 2-cylinder OMC, a little tiny gear case, a little tiny propeller like this.
Yeah.
And it's really, really hard to drive, man. You have to always be on the edge. And you know me, Frode, so I wrecked a lot. I mean, I crashed a lot. But I was also really quick, so we had some great times, and I learned a ton from so many people I raced against back then. People that were mostly all older than I was. So Richard Hearn and Gordy Miller and Garrett Armstrong and all these guys in the U.S. that I got to race against and eventually compete with strong and eventually beat and become national champion a few times in that class and set some records and went to the Hall of Champions, I think 2 times in that class, and it was just great. And then moved to Formula 2, and it's great times. It was I'm really blessed growing up to get to do all that, and I spent, people ask, I don't drink and never really been around drugs or anything like that. So people ask, well, why don't you drink? It was never my thing because I was never around anybody. I was always just racing. That's it. I just went everywhere racing. So it was a really, 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 really fun time, and a time that, while I love what I do now, was definitely different. It was just fun. It was family and friends and fun and yeah, you get upset because we're really, really competitive people, but at the same time, it wasn't a job, so it was different.
Did you ever race against Val Collins? I know she raced. I know her from typing up good stories about powerboat racing, but I also know that she raced Mud Sea.
But I'm gonna tell you a secret that no one else will hear. Okay, it's just between you and I.
Yeah.
She's much older than I am.
Oh, so, really? No, we don't want to take that live.
So no, I raced against Val, but her husband Brad is also amazing. He built Mirage tunnel boats and river racers and all that stuff, and he helped move our sport forward in the U.S. and made it so big on the pleasure boating side as well. So they're an important part of the boat racing family here in the U.S.
Vahur Yuala says, Shaun, it's so unbelievable to see you again just now, because I can tell you that he is one of our friends who got really ill from the coronavirus. And Vahur is always attending all the UIMs and so on. So a special greetings to Vahur tonight.
Thanks for being with us. That's awesome, and I'm happy you're okay. It's a crazy world we're living in right now.
Definitely. Another one has a question for you, Shaun. It says, have hydroplane racing your interest, and is it something you might want to try out once?
It depends on the level. I had a really nice offer when I got back here in January, I guess it was, or late December, excuse me, to run an unlimited hydroplane, and I was really, really flattered by it, and really wanted to do it, and was interested to do it. But as you know, Abu Dhabi and we have a very big vested interest with each other, and we between the Formula One team and the offshore team, and my time, it's very important that I stay safe and healthy, and I'm available to race. So it was in our best interest not to pursue it and to simply say thank you, but I just can't do it right now. So it would be really cool to do that unlimited stuff at some point. It'd be fun to run the boat to see what it is. As far as the little stuff, I've done a little bit of it back in the day, and honestly, it's too much like work. I like a capsule. Strap me in, that kneeling down and moving around that all my friends do, like Robert Crowley, Pat and all those guys. Oh, yeah, it's completely crazy. You got to put on all this get up and then, get in the boat. And then I used to make fun of them because I never raced it. I said, oh, they only do 3 laps. What a waste of time. It's all that work for 3 laps. And then I did one, and it was a 5-lap race. And 3 laps in, I'm like, when is this over? This is too long. So, yeah, it was fun.
Let's see here. We got a Norwegian question. Joyce is asking, which possibility does he think that Marit can claim all the way to the top and beat the mighty Team Abu Dhabi?
I'm so surprised the Norwegian question is about Marit. I can't even believe it. That never happens. So Marit's team and what Marit's done is really actually incredible and really, really inspiring for all of the paddock, and Jonas too, for that matter. They've kept a very tight core, and people don't realize how important the team is in Formula One especially. It's important in all of boat racing, but in Formula One it's really, really important because we're traveling all around the world together. It's important that everybody gets along well, and it's important that everybody works well together. And everybody thinks, oh, you just need a bunch of people that are really good. Yes, you do, but you also need a bunch of people that understand their job and only want to do their job really, really well and not infringe on the other guy's job. That way everybody works well together. And that's what makes my team so great also. But Merritt's done the same. She's kept a core group with her husband and Craig and her radio man. They all work well together. And even though they're a small group, they work really well together, so they're not stepping on each other. They're all pulling the same way, and they're able to improve and stay on a program. And Merritt, at the same time, has done what she needed to do to improve, with her physical fitness, and her driving has always been good, but she's steadily improved, and that's why she's at the level she's at. And the reality is she's just as fast as we are. I mean, she really is. You've seen, most of the qualifying and stuff, we're always within a couple tenths of each other. Even if I get her for the pole or she barely beats me, it's always really close, and she's right in there. So it's a matter of a few breaks and things going your way. And I know, just like every racer, I had many years it didn't go my way. I missed, I think, 2 or 3 world championships by just a few points. And then last year it went my way, and then this year it went my way again, especially at the last race. I got a little bit lucky at the end and was able to get it done. And that's what you need. So that's all she needs. It has nothing to do with ability or with her team or even budget for that matter. Because remember, we can only race one boat, one engine, one propeller. So in the end, if you have one of each of those that is really good, you can be good. Yeah.
You told me that during lunch in Abu Dhabi here a long time ago, and you said, you know what, they have modified the boat and they've worked so much on it.
And actually, you say that, Andrea doesn't get as much credit as he should. And it's not talked about outside as much. In the paddock it is, but outside the paddock it's not. Her husband has done an amazing job, rebuilding that boat, adjusting it for what Merritt's telling him it needs, and giving her what she needs so she can do her job. And he should get a lot more credit, because people think, oh, she just runs a Baba, and that's not really true.
No.
I call it an Andrea.
Yeah.
That's an Andrea. Craig doing the engines has done an amazing job working with Ron. And constantly moving forward and working hard. And like I said, they've done a great job.
And you're talking about how important it is with the team and with the feeling inside the team and so on. I don't know if so many people know, but back in the days when you ran the Qatar team, you were also together with the same team, the Italians, when you worked there. So basically, when people think that Shaun's got a good ride on Team Abu Dhabi and he's working with Guido and his crew, you have done that before. You've done that in a two-year period before that as well.
Yeah, and I can't give you all the details because I don't want to upset anybody, but one of the biggest reasons I'm with Team Abu Dhabi is because of those guys inside the tent, even more than Guido, because they worked with me before. And when Alex was leaving, they knew what they wanted in a driver, not just someone who could drive, but someone who wanted to put in the work and loved putting in the work and loved the testing and and not only did that, but also had a technical background that could give feedback from the boat and understand when something was not correct with the engine or the boat or the electrical or whatever the case may be. I have a technical background, so I was able to give them that stuff. So when we were in Qatar, I did probably 90% of the testing for that team. And then we'd go to the race, and, Corella got the best of me 2 years. I would say 2 years because the first year was kind of a mess with me and Sammy got into it, and I got thrown out for a few races. So let's leave that one to the side. But after that, he got the best of me those 2 years, but it was really close. Especially the last year, I was leading the first race and broke, and I ended up losing the championship by 3 points to him. So it was, I lost 20 at the first one. So people think, oh, well, yeah, it's easy. He won, Shaun lost. Well, it's more complicated than that. Like Jonas, for example. Jonas had an amazing season. Yes, I'm the world champion, but it doesn't take away that he had an amazing season.
Won the last race, he couldn't do more, at the end.
He's done he's done a wonderful job. So the guys inside the tent, Attilio, Giacomo, especially Dennis, all those guys, they're one of the biggest reasons I'm with Abu Dhabi, because they know who I am as a person and as a driver and how I like to work. So so that's why I'm there, and I'm thankful for it all the time. And I miss the hell out of them. I haven't seen them since Sharjah.
We're soon going to see all of it again, I hope. Listen, I have so many questions, and that's fantastic. Alistair, actually working in the Abu Dhabi team. His question to Shaun: what is making the difference with Team Abu Dhabi?
What is making the difference from Team Abu Dhabi? Okay, so from the outside, the difference with Team Abu Dhabi is that we have a big budget. That's the outside answer. Oh, well, they have the money, they can do it. But that's not the case.
No.
No, Frode, it has nothing to do with the money. I mean, does the money help? Of course it does. Does the fact that we have a budget help? Of course it helps. But what really makes the difference are the little things. It's the day-to-day. It's the waking up every morning at 6, going to that tent and testing and being there all day, every day, doing that work. It's Attilio being up 15, 16 hours per day, preparing data, doing this, doing that, checking race courses, constantly looking for more things. It's Guido never stopping. Guido never stops. You know, I was with a Victory Team before Abu Dhabi, and we started Victory Team around me with Arif and Nader and the people that were running Victory Team at that time. And they did they were very similar. They worked all the time, and they had those guys working all the time, and we steady built. We came from nothing to finishing second in the World Championship the second year and winning a race. And we should have won 2. I gave away France after being in the lead and hitting a buoy. That was one of the most frustrating races of my life, and still come back and finish third, but it was frustrating. So what I'm saying is we built that all the way up. Why? Because we had people that wanted to work, and that's like Abu Dhabi. That's the secret. The secret is that work. The secret is Alistair that going out and being our rescue every morning at 6 and set the buoys. And when I come in and say, Alistair, can we set a different race course tomorrow? And it's 6 o'clock in the afternoon, and he's like, no problem, Shaun. Whatever we need to do, we do. And we appreciate that. I appreciate that as a driver. You know, there's when we arrive at the race, we're ready to race. We're not there to test. We're not there to do any of that stuff. We're ready to race.
But what impressed me a lot when I was spending a month in Abu Dhabi, and I was having my morning ritual with my jogging and so on, and each and every morning, 6 days a week, before 7 o'clock in the morning, the Team Abu Dhabi was out on the Corniche in the middle of Abu Dhabi. Incredible.
Always. Every morning we're there. Every morning we're there. And if it's too windy, it's not, or it's too rough, or the weather's not good or something, no problem. We can't test in the Corniche. We go into Lulu Channel, and we test in Lulu Channel with 2 buoys working on the point of rotation, which all drivers need to work on all the time. So we work on that. There's always work to be done. And that starts at the top with Guido. Guido is the same way. Guido's insane. I'll tell you a story. We're in Portugal, and he's insane in a good way, in a way that I love. In the opposite way of the manager that ruined my Victory Team. He is constantly thinking and working how to improve. We're in Portugal. It's the day before qualifying, so it's that night, okay? And we had talked. I make some parts for the team, you know, because I make billet parts and things. So I make trim pump things. I make hinges for our escape hatches. You know, all this stuff I make. So we have I don't know if you've seen in our paddock. We have those garbage cans that look like energy bottles, right? But the tops look kind of funky and not correct, right? So Guido's like, can you make this now? Because I have a big 3D printer because I helped Dave with the props. So can you make the top? Yeah, I can make the top. Okay, 3 o'clock in the morning before qualifying day. Okay, so the morning of qualifying, 3 o'clock in the morning, my phone goes crazy. It's 15 pictures with all the dimensions of the tops of the garbage cans. So that I have them, okay, ready so that I can make them when I go home. Why? Because Guido doesn't sleep. Guido only works. And I love this. It's crazy, and I laughed about it, and I made fun of him about it, but it's why I love Guido for that way. And that's why many people said, oh, we won't get along because we're both very strong-headed, and we are. But we're also very the same in that he doesn't have to worry about me waking up to go testing. He doesn't have to babysit me. He knows I'm an adult and I'm a man and I'm going to do what I'm supposed to do. So it's been a great collaboration. I've really loved racing for him.
Talking about love, Val Collins, I think she heard what we talked about because she said, love you, Shaun. Jason Mantrip has a question. Did Shaun enjoy his Grand Prix this afternoon? This is the commentator for the Formula 1 Grand Prix. You raced some kids, didn't you?
He did a good job on the commentating. And yes, I actually did enjoy it. Only because, honestly, I'm so hard up and dying for some sort of competition something. I got the game 1 week ago. I didn't even have a PlayStation. I ordered a PlayStation, the game 1 week ago. I played 2 days, got angry with the controller, and ordered a steering wheel. Got it yesterday. Okay. And practiced some, and then finished 4th today. So it was fun. But the honestly is, there's no way I'm ever going to beat Piccolino Camparato.
No.
Everybody knows that because that's all he does.
Yeah.
Two things: drives this stupid video game
Yeah.
and rookery. Finished. That's all he does. No job, no nothing. That's all he does.
Edgar Asriapko, he says hi. I mean, we have to take an English course with him later because I know you used to end up with him. We got some serious question here from our sponsor tonight, Powerboat Racing World, John Moore. He says that first of foremost, congratulations for being unbeaten in 2020. Well, that's his kind of humor.
He thinks he's funny. I know. Go.
Marit was speaking on the show last week, and she was mentioning the new Mercury 4-stroke motor for Formula 1 H2O, and that it was due to be launched at the Dubai International Boat Show back in the days. So, due to this show being postponed, we haven't seen the engine. What can you tell us about it? Because John, he thinks that you has been involved in the process with Mercury Racing.
Of course, John thinks that because I'm American.
Yeah.
But here's the deal. Mercury's been very smart about not being biased in any way. So have I seen a picture of the engine? Absolutely, I've seen a picture of the engine. Not because it was sent to me, but because they showed it to me on their phone because I saw them at the Miami Boat Show.
Yeah.
We talked to them there. And I talked to them there. And it looks cool and all that stuff, but I don't really have any other technical information on it other than it's really cool. You understand? And it's going to be good. And I think it's something that our sport needs to move forward. My question is now, though, because it was supposed to be launched, and obviously we're supposed to be in the middle of our season right now, I don't know what the deal is, because we were supposed to be able to try the engines in Portugal. That was the original plan. Yeah. So I know they've tested them in the U.S. I don't have any of the data. I don't know any of that, but I know they've tested them, and I know they're fast. And they're really cool looking. I know how much more they weigh. Basically, I know the same as all the actual teams know, because all that stuff's been given to the teams. All that information has been directly relayed to the teams. So, but other than that, I don't have any extra information over the top of that because Mercury, knowing who I am and what I do and where I race for, they don't want it to look like, oh, they're giving me some sort of special treatment over Merritt or over Sammy or over whoever. I'm the same as all the rest of the teams. I get my information through the team manager, and Abu Dhabi being Abu Dhabi, we usually get it last. So it's
well, that's it. Paul Furman, he says, "Hi Shaun, you've raced at the Rouen 24-hour. From the race driver's perspective, how does endurance powerboat racing differ from F1 Grand Prix racing?" Paul.
Oh, it's completely different. It's fun in its own way, but it is completely different. So on the positive side, especially for our local drivers, Emiratis, it gives them tons of training and basically gets them really comfortable in the boat because it's like racing one whole season. By the time we do our testing and our preparation and then race the race, like giving them a season in the boat. And you can't replace seat time, you know. Even if you're not going full out as fast as you can go, it's still time in the boat. It's still understanding what's going on with the boat. It's also good for them because they learn how to focus for a long period of time. And that's really what's hard about Rouen and those types of races. It's a mental game even more than a physical game. You have to stay focused for 2 hours at a time, racing, and then get very little sleep and get back in the boat. You know, when we won it last year, I think the way it worked out, the way the stints and everything worked out, I raced in the first 13 hours, I had 8 hours of it or something like that. It was a lot for me, but then we were far enough ahead that it didn't matter, and my guys were able to bring it home. And we had a great team. And speaking of that, while we talk about that, I just want to send my love to Tullio. He was on my team there last year. We lost his father a few days ago. It was absolutely devastating. From COVID-19, so it's touched us all. We got to stay clear of it, but we've become very, very close over the last few years. Tullio, he's just a great guy. We tested at his house with Tullio Jr. We tested at his house last year. Almost in 2 weeks, it'll be a year ago. We tested at his house, and I made the mistake of looking back at pictures from last year when I got the news. Because I was sending we were sending texts back and forth to Italy and to Abu Dhabi, and I look back at pictures from racing last year for preparing for Rouen and all that stuff, and honestly, it made me a little bit depressed for a little bit because I get to do what I love every day. I mean, I really do. I get to race a boat. I get to go all over the world. for one of the best organizations in the world. And my life is awesome, and I just want to get back to our normal life, just like everybody else. And I don't want to lose any more of my friends or my friends' family. So I looked at the pictures and said, wow, my life was really cool about 6 weeks ago before all this started over here, or 2 months ago or 3 months ago. But hopefully we'll be back to it soon.
Val, she is posting a comment, and she said, as an US driver, you're probably exposed more than most to time zone difference. How do you adapt to the constant assault on your cardiac rhythm due to time zone changes during the season?
It's really difficult. That's the hardest thing about racing overseas. So there's two things. Number one, the first year, in fact, I was talking with Dave Bush just the other day. We were just chatting, catching up. And he worked for Sammy last year. He's an engine guy here in the U.S. He's from Arizona. He's a really smart guy. And he's like, Shaun, I got sick 6 times out of 8 trips last year. I go, yeah, Dave, but that was your first year. And that's how it was for me, too. The first year, first year, every race I got sick because you're going to places and being exposed to things that you weren't exposed to before. Yeah. And now, after being over there for 10 years, it's I don't get sick anymore, except for when I go to China, to be honest. I still get sick. I don't know why, but I do. And so between that and the time zone changes, the only thing you can do is be really, really, really vigilant about your physical fitness and also your eating habits. That's helped me a lot. My wife's been great and helped me with a meal plan. She's big into physical fitness. I have a trainer. I work out 4 to 6 times per week, depending on the schedule and what's going on. It's the only way you can do it. And then for the sake of your family, in our new house that we're building, I'm building a separate room that we're calling the jet lag room so that I don't affect the rest of my family. Because right now in our house, when I get home, I'm up at 2 o'clock in the morning, and normally I'm up at 4. That's normal for me. But when I get home like this, I'm up at 2 in the morning, and I usually am doing computer work or doing whatever because I can't sit still. Making noise. Correct. Or I go to my workshop, and then I'm back home at 6, exhausted, and I go to sleep at 7 at night. It's a disaster. So we're building a jet lag room so that I can have a little suite to myself to get back on the schedule without messing with my family. Cool.
Talking about physical fitness, Marit, she said in a comment here, hope to fight again soon, Shaun. Have a nice Easter. By the way, Andrea is very happy for your compliment. So that's it.
They're 100% correct. And Marit, I know she puts the picture of the video every day of her workout.
Does she get to you?
On Instagram every day, picture of her workout every day. Well, I can't do it. I've tried to take a picture of myself at the gym twice, and I would get the phone out and go, no fucking way, I'm not doing that. Like I can't. I don't. She's a performer like that. I'm not. I'm only comfortable when I'm inside my boat with the helmet on, covered up.
Let's see. We have so many good questions here. Bobby says you're a great champion. That's a compliment, not a question. Michael Stankamp, he says, hi everyone. Michael is racing offshore over in America. We have greetings from Germany. And, can I ask something private? Pinnacle on a pizza, yes or no? That's from Sven from Germany. Big problem.
Let me tell you right now. Okay, so this is a problem. So if I say yes, my team gets angry with me, like really angry, because most of them are Italian. Like it's terrible, right? My old technical head in Qatar was Brendan. Power. He loves pineapple on the pizza. We call it Hawaiian pizza. So I will tell you on the record, no pineapple on the pizza because my team does not agree. Off the record, that shit is good. That's
good. Yes. Let's see. Chris Davis. Hi, Shaun. You mentioned wrong earlier. So do you think the team should enter a boat into Class 1 / F4? They should have the personnel to keep it going.
What do you mean by that? So in other words, we have to enter a Formula 4 boat as well?
Yeah.
So the reason that we normally don't is because, once again, we use it as our biggest sell to Abu Dhabi, besides obviously trying to win that race because it's a huge deal. But the deal of running 2 boats is because we use it as training for our young drivers, okay? And the reality is we are training them for Formula 2 because, our goal is to train a full replacement for me at some point, right? So we have Rachel Quimsey, who's obviously very fast. He's the Formula 2 world champion, and he's done great, and he's on the A team, like for us. But then you have guys that are still training and moving up and trying to come in. They race our Formula 4 and they race our, like Mohammed Al Morabi and our other drivers. So we try to move them up. So I don't see us running a Formula 4 just because there's not enough value in it for training wise.
No.
If they're not ready to step in the Formula 2, they don't come with us.
And Alistair and the Abu Dhabi club is now putting up a Formula 4 championship out in the Emirates. So they will get all the seat time they need out there.
Well, not only that, and not as only as Alistair doing all that stuff, but a big shout out to Felix and Antonio and all the guys at the Abu Dhabi workshop.
Really?
They've done an amazing job. They're our main crew in XCAT, and they do an amazing job. They've modified all of our boats. They're a big reason we won the World Championship in that. But they've also built all those Formula 4 boats, and they've done a wonderful job there. Felix is one of the unsung heroes of our team. He doesn't get all the credit he deserves. Him and Antonio, they're amazing. Not only mechanics, but they're amazing people. I miss the hell out of them too. I talk to them probably twice a week. It's just, this situation is crazy. We would have expected to be together already, but it's been great to be home and see my family so much, my wife and daughter, and spend so much time with them. That's the positive. The negative is I don't get to see any of my racing family, at least face to face.
Going back to one of the questions prepared by Powerboat Racing World, John Moore, he said that you have always helped Powerboat Racing World's coverage of races by giving us quotes, information, and then not racing with other news even. What else can a racer do to ensure continued promotion of the sport? And I know this is something you are very keen on and have a lot of ideas around.
Yeah, and it's important for us to do more. I don't do enough. Frode, honestly, you're probably the most talented at that portion of it, marketing wise, and the things you do for us online, and the promotion of your own event as well as even the promotion of your team has been wonderful. I would say it's only rivaled by Guido. Guido's probably a little bit better, but Guido's better at most things, right? So it's okay. But I'm not good at it. I'm trying to learn from people like you and like Guido and honestly like Merritt, all those types of people that really promote. But the biggest thing is I'm in a weird situation. I shouldn't say weird, but I'm in a different situation than most in that I race for Abu Dhabi, and we have bosses there, so I have to be very careful of what I put out, on my on my social media and what I promote, because the reality is I work for Abu Dhabi, and my thing is to promote Abu Dhabi and Team Abu Dhabi, and whatever the sheikhs want us to promote at that time, whatever their push is for tourism or for their initiatives. That's what's important, because that's who we race for, that's who pays our bills, and we're there to promote Abu Dhabi. So I'm very cautious of that. I try to give any information I can to our social media director, which is Hossam, and he does a wonderful job. And I let them take the lead on that stuff. But I will tell you, when I move into the next phase of my life, I want to continue to be involved in the sport in any way. I hope with Abu Dhabi, but no matter what, I want to be involved in the sport in some way, shape, or form. I love doing some commentating on some races. I love doing these types of things. But I have a debt that I owe to the sport based on what it's given me. I've had a wonderful life from it. So in return, I can give the people on the outside access to the people on the inside by doing things like this and being available for things like this, and also using my history and the things that I've done to get the people of the next day, of future with us on the computer talking and because we have the best. What did we say the other day? We have the best reality show going. Just no one gets to see it, and that's a problem. We need to fix that.
Because for me, it looks like the promoter and the Formula One world would like to show us a picture that everybody is friends and everybody is so happy and good together and so on.
That's not the truth.
It's not the truth, is it?
No, and we're all big personalities. We get it, and we all have an ego to some point. We all want to be the best. There's not, when I first went to Formula One, people thought I was arrogant, and I thought I was this, and I thought I was that. No, I was confident. Yes,
confident.
I was confident. And
I didn't like it at all the first years you came over.
Because when they asked me when I would get there, what do you think you can win? Of course I think I could win. Why would I be here if I didn't think I could win? But that's not the European way to say things. No. And I understand that. That's an American way to say things. Yeah. So it took a while for people to understand me for who I am. And that's okay. Yeah. But the reality is, if you give any of those drivers truth serum, any of them, okay? Yeah. If you ask them, do you think you're the best? They're going to say yes, or else they wouldn't be there.
No, of course.
So, it's normal for myself to think that I'm better than the rest of them. It doesn't mean that I'm better than them, like without doing any work. Doesn't mean that I don't have to put in the time. It doesn't mean that I don't have to have a little bit of luck on my side sometimes too. That's all part of it. But I would not show up if I didn't think I could win.
Are we going to see a different Shaun Torrente in the future now? I mean, 2 times World Formula 1 champion and XCAT World champion. Will you be a bit more, what can I say, loose in your comments and try to be to play your role a bit more? Because, I mean, they can't take that away from you. I mean, now it's not cocky, it's confident, and to build upon that. Because a lot of the race drivers, they have this reputation, but they're playing their role, so to speak, you know? Are we going to see more of that? Are we going to see some more, what can I say, enthusiasm and feelings and so on?
Well, you see my feelings all the time.
Yeah,
you know that if you're around. That doesn't get hidden no matter what. You can't hide that. Am I going to be smarter about something? Sure, of course. But by the same token, I can be, how do you say, a little bit more honest about some things too. Yeah. Because the reality is, I set out in my racing life to be the world champion in Formula 1. That was my goal. It has always been my goal. I got to achieve that goal. Not many people get to achieve that type of goal, and I got to achieve it.
Yeah.
And when I woke up a week later, okay, after sleeping for 3 days because I hadn't slept for a month, okay, when I woke up and I laid in bed with my wife, I said, I don't know what to do now. Yeah. And I kind of enjoyed it for a couple more days, and then I went right back to work and said, well, let's do it again. And last year, I will say, was so much more enjoyable than the first one. Okay, just the whole process was enjoyable, because the first one, I didn't enjoy the process of it. It was gut wrenching the whole time. Okay, I mean, it was, you know, it's just, it was super tense, and I just wanted to achieve the goal. Whereas last year I already achieved it, right? So I knew I could do it. I'd already done it. And then last year I just kind of enjoyed the ride the whole way. I really, really liked it, and I had a great time doing it. And I thought I was way more relaxed for sure, and I had way more fun during it. And I still had just as much fun afterwards too, so that's good.
Good friend of us, Matt Paul says, during the first year of being with Abu Dhabi, when did you believe you could actually win the championship? Was there any turning point in that season?
I would say, and you can actually see it in the interview when I get out of the boat, it's when I got pole position in India. That qualifying was really, really tough. I knew I had a good setup. I knew I had it right. And just couldn't get a clean lap in Q2, and there was like 30 seconds left in the session. I was 7th. You know, obviously top 6 make it to the shootout. Yeah. And my rating man just said, "You're 7th. We need a lap." And I put a lap down and went right to P1, and with no time left. And it was a good lap. It wasn't perfect, but it was a good lap. So then I went out last for the shootout, and the way that race course was set up, you couldn't get 2 laps in a row, right? So if you started a good lap, you had to finish it, because if you set up for the second lap, you would hurt your first lap's time. So I went, I think turn 3, I screwed the lap up. So I aborted the lap completely and set up for another one. So I threw it out. Yeah, set up the next one and put it on pole. And when I got out of the boat, I was just overwhelmed, because I knew if I won, I would go back and lead in the championship. And I got out of the boat and I was just overwhelmed, and they asked me, you know, what do you think? I just said what I felt, which is, when it's your day, it's your day, you know? And I laid in bed that night and I looked at the ceiling in India and I was like, I don't know how I survived that. Like, I shouldn't be sitting here on pole position right now, but I am. I don't know how I survived that, but I think this might be the year. This is going to happen. So that's when it really set in. And then the other time was just when I signed with Abu Dhabi, and I went to test the day after Sharjah the year before. That next morning, when I went over, I signed, and we got in the boat and went testing. And I was with Attilio and Giacomo again, and the late Anthony, which I can't believe we lost him too, but Anthony. And I saw what they had in place, and I saw where I'd come from and the mess that I'd come from with who was running the victory team. And I was like, oh my God. I have a real chance. I'm going to win the World Championship this year. So those are the 2 times.
Let's have a look at the video, which was made perfectly by F1H2o when you resigned with the Abu Dhabi team.
So yeah, I'm really happy. I've re-signed with Team Abu Dhabi for the next 2 years. I got 2 years guaranteed, which is great. It's been just a great experience overall with them. We really fit well. I love the guys, and I love the way they work. Not to mention, you know, I race the other stuff with them as well. so it's great to just be on one team, be in one place. It definitely feels like a second home, more than any other place that I've been, for sure. So 2 more years, you're gonna have to put up with me for 2 more years. That's what I told all the guys yesterday. They were really excited and happy, and it's a great feeling when you tell your guys and they're as excited as you are, because it feels good.
Oh, my teammate Tony, I love him.
Great pictures, great pictures. We have a lot of guests popping up, and I know that you were in reading a couple of the comments as well. The governor in my region, he's asking, do you think that Frode has any chance of winning races this season? I mean...
Oh, he's the governor of your region?
Yes,
he's the governor.
Definitely.
Tell him, yes, absolutely. Frode has a chance. If he puts me in Frode's boat, then Frode's boat can win. No,
that's gonna be fun.
Frode always has a chance. Everybody has a chance.
Everybody has a chance. That's it. Let's see, Shaun. We have a few more questions which I have to pop in here. Alistair says we are all locked down without our families. How are you managing with the long days and change of routine?
So honestly, my routine here hasn't changed much because I'm kind of on lockdown all the time, it seems like, other than the gym. The gym is the only thing that I'm missing now. So I'm doing workouts just outside. But we're lucky in my area. I live on the water, so my boat is on the lift. I can use it whenever I want. And it's been very busy boating here. But we are allowed to boat still, so that's good. We go out with the family. We spend some time on the water. We've been boating a lot, probably 2-3 days a week. At least getting outside a little bit. And then the other thing I'm able to do is I can actually boat to my new property that has my agricultural building and some of my stuff in there, where we're going to build our new house. So I'm able to play with some things and do some of my normal things that I would do, including the project we're working on here for the U.S. So I've been really lucky that my life hasn't changed much, other than we don't get to go to dinner. Obviously, we don't go outside. We're not doing any of that stuff. On a day like today, if I wasn't talking to you, I'd be out on the boat. I mean, I even texted you earlier. I was getting fuel in the boat because I might go for a ride afterwards. Because I'm an outdoor person. I love being on the water, so it's hard for me to just stay inside. But we definitely are practicing our best social distancing. We live in not a very, very packed area, so we're able to stay away from people. My wife and daughter don't go out. My daughter only goes to see her horses and ride her horses, which is luckily for her something she can still do. She's actually really thrilled. She does all her work at home now on school, and then goes to play with her horse every day. So for her, it's paradise. But you know, I guess it's all about perspective. The biggest thing I'm missing is our normal life of racing. Yeah. You know, I spent a week or two in just a haze of, you know, when you do this for a living and you spend your whole life working at something like this, and it's the same every year, you don't know when it's going to start. You don't know what's going to happen. So you can't even make a plan. Like, I'm fine as long as we have a plan. Okay, we're going to be racing here. We're going to do this. So I'm going to prepare this way. I'm going to go, okay, I have to arrange the gym this way. I have to arrange propellers like this. You can make a plan. You're still working towards your goal. But right now, no one's working towards their goal. We're literally just in wait. We're just waiting.
Our friend John Moore, he says that realistically it looks as though international travel will take a good while to resume. Have you made any tentative plans to compete at home, perhaps in the offshore racing series?
Yeah, so we won't do a full release or anything like that, but we're working on something here. One of my best friends here has been asking me to race for a while. He luckily has the financial backing to do it. We have a brand new boat built. I've been rigging the boat recently. It's almost done. It's ready for the water probably next week. I'll be able to test it. It'll be in stock class here in the U.S. Okay. I'm thankful for Abu Dhabi for them allowing me to do it. Both offshore and Guido and Formula One have allowed me to do it. Obviously, it's second to anything overseas. So if there's a conflict, man, I can't wait for there to be a conflict in a race, because that means we're just racing again. Yeah. But when there is conflict, obviously I go race for Abu Dhabi, and Abu Dhabi is the number one priority. But it will be a fun project here, and it'll be fun because it's just, for me, it helps my U.S. business. I'm able to, part of the agreement is the main sponsor and all that stuff is my brackets and all the products that I make, steering pulleys, all those types of things. So my main demographic are all the offshore boats here and all the pleasure boats that come from that. Yeah. So all those people, it ties in well with my business. So financially and the way it ties in with my brand will be wonderful. I think it's going to be a very good thing. And of course, we expect to win. Of course. We're going to try hard.
Robert, he asks, have you given any thoughts yet to how much longer you want to drive for?
Not really. I mean, a little bit, I guess, and only in terms of because I know what my contract situation is.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that in Formula One, you know, it's a stressful thing. You know, Frode, you've been around it. It's mentally, it's very taxing. You know, physically, I'm fine. Mentally, it's very taxing. And there are times, I don't care who you are as a driver in Formula One, there are times, especially in my situation, when we have so much pressure, and they don't do it on purpose. Don't get me wrong. They're not telling you got to win. No. But when I say I put that pressure on myself because I see what they give us and I see the opportunity they give us. So I want to perform my best, not only for Abu Dhabi, the country, but also for all my guys, man. They bust their butt. They're working 15, 16 hours a day all the time to make us look good. So I want to make sure that we put in the best for them. So my contract in Abu Dhabi is 2 more years, including this year for Formula One. And then my offshore contract is much longer than that. Mm-hmm. And offshore I would probably do longer because it's a little less stressful mentally, and I do a little bit more technically there as far as making parts, set up of the boat, those types of things. So it's fun for that. But Formula One, man, I'm not gonna lie. There's times you walk around in the weekend and you know there's a certain situation going on or whatever, and I've asked myself, I go, I don't know why I put myself through this anymore, you know.
How do you and I think this is an interesting question. How do you get into the bubble? How is a typical race morning, race preparation for you? What is your thing? I mean, somebody has special shoes, somebody has a routine, habit.
So I don't believe in any of that stuff anymore. I used to, but I don't anymore. I believe that preparation is your luck. So we prepare like crazy. And my thing is a normal race weekend starts with normally testing in Abu Dhabi before we go somewhere, or Italy.
Yeah.
We then me and Ati will go through data based on that, and we make sure that Tani is comfortable and ready and has a plan for what he wants to do propeller wise.
Yeah.
Okay. And then my plan falls into place after that. But you know, I have more responsibilities than just myself there. I have a teammate that's an amazing driver, but I take the time to help set up the boat and pick propellers and all those things and give him feedback and let him see my data because we are one team. And it's important, as you can see in Tani's results, they've been amazing since we've been there. Yes. Since I've been with him, because he's a great driver.
He got the spring back in the step when you got on the team.
Correct, because he's a great driver and he just needed someone to work with him all the time. And I'm more than happy to work with him because he's a really good driver and an even better teammate. So anything I can do to help him, I try.
Fantastic.
So we go through that, and then we fly to the race as a team. And then from there, I'm pretty much locked out from the world. I try not to get on social media. I try not to. I usually have either podcasts or book or TV show even sometimes that kind of just takes me away because, for example, qualifying day, we'll practice in the morning. Ati will get the data, give it to me so that I can take it back to the hotel with me. I'll go through it. We'll talk about it.
And how important is that data? Because everybody's talking about data logging and so on, and I have my views on it. But what can we actually tell the people watching the show tonight? How much do you bring out of the data? How important is it?
Listen, for me, it's very important. Okay, because I don't care who you are, you can get tricked by your butt and your mind because your mind is the strongest muscle in your body, right? So if you like a certain propeller better, you like something, you're gonna drive it differently. So I purposely, like when we're testing propellers, I'll run the baseline propeller, which is just the one to make sure the boat is correct.
Yeah.
And after that, I give the group of propellers to Ati and I say, okay, this is the group that we're running, and then he puts them on in any order he wants. I don't even know the number because I don't want to know. And mixed in there are new ones. Mixed in there are basically we take the race course and then we know what size that is, and then we adjust from there. And then I give them the group. We agree on the group of propellers, and then from there I just run them. Okay. And I'm really happy when he puts one on and I say, oh, and I run the lap. I'm like, oh, that was this one because I knew what to handle, and I'm right. You know, because that shows that I still have a feel for what I'm doing and all that. And so it's like testing myself all the time.
Yeah.
But the data is extremely important. I mean, extremely important for me.
Silvia Borgonovis asks, which part of the qualifying session do you find more stressful, Q1, Q2, or Q3?
Q2. Not even close. Q2.
Yeah.
Q2 is always the toughest. All the boats are out there. Well, not all the boats, but the top 15 are out there. And it's really tight between the top 7, 8, even 10 sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, you're talking just a tenth, and you got to get a clean lap to get a good one, you know, to get into the shootout. And what happens is a lot of time like my shootout setup is already done. Like I know what that is before I even show up at the race.
Yeah.
The one that's always hard is the Q2 one, because you need a prop that's, yes, fast enough time-wise, but also handles well enough with everybody else. You know, most props are going to handle well, Frode, when the water's perfect. You know that.
But you can't choose your laps in Q2. That's the difficult
Exactly.
part.
So Q2 by far is much stressful. Once you're in the shootout, I treat that like you're playing with house money, you know?
Yeah.
This is the icing on the cake. Now you just go out and try to get the pole, because no matter what, you're starting in the top 6. So.
Well, as a trick question, what made you decide to let your hair grow longer? I mean, women,
That's a funny story. Okay. I'll tell you what happened. Tulio, we were in Poland.
Oh, yeah?
We had just won the World Championship for the endurance, right?
Yeah.
And we got our teammates in the other boat, and they were able to get second in the World Championship, which was amazing, right? So we're having a great time. We're throwing everybody in the water. I mean, it was a blast, right?
Yeah.
I have videos. It's incredible. So we're tossing people in the water. We're having a ruckus. People's legs are getting banged up because they're falling off the dock. And then the next day we're driving back to Warsaw to go to the airport, and we're messing with messenger filters, right?
Yeah.
And one put hair on me, and I take a picture and I send it to my wife, and it was me and Tulio and David Delpin in the car. And I'm like, hey, that's not so bad.
Yeah.
What? I think I'm going to grow my hair. And then I just grew my hair. What the hell?
Perfect.
Not only that, I'm getting older, Frode, so, you know, at some point it might not be there, so I might as well use it. I've never had it for 25 years.
I know what you're saying.
Exactly.
Phil Buckley is asking, do you think we'll get a World Championship this year crammed into 3 quarters of a month?
Oh, you mean 3? Oh, you
Yeah.
mean 3-4 months?
Yeah.
Man, I hope so.
Yeah.
But I'm not in a position to say. I have no idea. I know they want to.
Yeah.
I know they're going to do their best to do it. I know that the teams are ready to race. We're more than ready to race.
Yeah.
So, man, I hope so. That's all I can say. You know, for us, we talked about it a little bit, Frode, offline, and you know, if we have to run without spectators or have new rules in the paddock, you know, those are all things that we're open to doing. But I will say this, that it's an opportunity for Formula One and for powerboat racing, being that all the major sports are shut down, that if we can get back to racing, maybe we can pick up some of those fans, because there won't be much else going on.
No.
Where that sports landscape is usually really packed with all kinds of stuff. It's football in Europe, and then football US, and then baseball, and then basketball. Well, we don't have any of that right now.
Well, we have comments popping in now saying we will be there, and that's good. Thank you, Phil. That's always great to have loyal fans around.
Yep.
Sean, what or who is your biggest inspiration? Tore is asking a question here.
Biggest inspiration. So outside of racing, like not directly racing wise, I would probably say my grandfather. He drove my stuff around when I was a kid, and when I got to go racing all over the place, he was the reason why I could go everywhere. You know what I mean? He drove this stuff everywhere, and my dad and I would fly in.
Yeah.
And so he's my biggest, and I saw his work ethic, and my father the same way, their work ethic. They worked every day. They were grinders. You know what I mean? They still are.
Yeah.
So that's my biggest inspiration outside of racing. Inside racing, there's a few, but I would say, I mean, you know, the greats that came before me are my inspirations. You know, Bill Siebold and Renato Molinari and Guido and those types of guys. Because when someone mentions your name with their name, you, like, for me, that's like are you kidding me? That's crazy, right? Like, I never thought in a million years that I'd be, you know, as much as I wanted to be, and it was my goal, to be a world champion and be among those people is incredible.
And they know you.
Right, and they know me. And Renato, that frustrating race I told you about in Evian, when I should have won the damn thing, I passed Carella and then hit a buoy and then did a drive-through and then went to 17th and back to 3rd. And I was so mad, and it was the weirdest race of my life because it was an amazing drive. And I got out of the boat angry, but every other team is giving me a high five because it was an awesome thing to watch.
Yeah.
But I'm like, but at the same time, I'm so upset. And Renato came up to me, and you know, his English isn't good, and he says, "Shaun, that was incredible. I haven't seen something like that in 40 years. It was amazing. You're an incredible driver." You know, in his broken English, he said that, and I'm standing there. I'm like, I'm devastated. But Renato Molinari just said that.
Yeah.
You know,
Can you imagine?
So Yeah, those people
17 times world champion.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
17 times, right? So I can win 15 more
Yeah.
and still be tied with him.
Yeah, can you imagine?
You know, so yeah, those people are all my inspiration. I mean, and then the other thing is that just the people that allow me to do it. They're the day-to-day people that allow me to do it are my inspiration. I mean, my wife and my daughter. That, you know, my wife does all the stuff at home that needs to be done. My daughter does her job and does great in school and does her stuff. You know, when I'm gone and I'm representing my family, you know, they inspire me to be great. They inspire me to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning and go to the gym. They inspire me to make sure that I'm doing everything I need to do to be the best that I can be for our family, because they're putting in the sacrifice and they're putting in work too.
Yeah.
So it's important for me to do it.
Yeah.
You know, and I I have a saying, and sometimes they get mad at me, but you know, when people complain about things but do nothing about it. You know, people all the time complain, oh, I don't like this, or this is a problem, or this and that, but they don't have any response. They don't have any fix for it. You know, I wasn't happy with the way things were at Victory when they changed the management, so I did something about it. I was really upset, so I said, you know what, I'm not coming back here. If I have to stay home, then I stay home. Now, it happened to work out for me, and I got to go to Abu Dhabi, and it's been one of the biggest blessings of my life. But all those people are inspiring. All the people on my team are inspiring. The work that they put in, the passion they have for what we do. When I tell them I'm coming back for 2 more years because I signed a contract, and they hug me and kiss my head, I know we used to be able to do that before in the old world. But they hug me and kiss my head, or we win and we hug and we're crying. It's or when we lose and they hug you and say, that's okay. We're gonna beat them. In China, when I got my ass beat the first day, you know, and we all got together and said, okay, what can we fix? And everybody figured out what they can do better. Everybody figured out what they could do better that night, so that the next day we had a better chance to win. And the next day we came out and busted their ass and we beat them. We put it on pole, won the race, and man, were we happy. That was a great night.
Should we see it?
Great. Oh, you got it?
I got it.
Oh,
hang on a second. I'll pull it in here.
All right, that was an amazing day, because when a team.
From the sensational tourist city of Xiamen in South
Enjoy this one.
China, it's round number 5.
Yeah, that was
of the
amazing.
UIM F1 World Championship
When you go through that all in 48 hours.
Grand Prix of China.
We got better today. We got half the job done. Now we got to go finish the race.
Now moments from the start as all the boats have got back onto the starting grid. We hold our breath. First, second, third row of lights. Off they go. They jump away. They explode away from the dock in the start pontoon. And 18 drivers from 8 different nations are charged up.
You see Shaun Torrente almost losing control.
Almost losing it.
Yeah. We almost all lost it many times.
What a shame. Oh, my. Corella.
You got my happy dance? If you got my happy dance, I'm going to be happy, because that was my favorite part.
We got the green flag. We're backing away.
And see Felipe up, trying everything on the outside, on the inside. Oh, and almost loses control there. That was a close one.
Now there's a problem. The youngster, Alberto Comparado, he has crashed.
He was angry.
They continue to hold the yellow flag. The checkered flag is out as Shaun Torrente picks up his 9th career victory.
You hear my guy screaming?
Yeah.
Points lead back with dreams of him becoming back-to-back world champion.
Well, Shaun, that was some amazing moments and group stuff, yeah?
Give me goosebumps, man. Let me tell you, when I came back to the dock after that, my team went crazy when we won the race. It was, there hasn't been many like that, because like I said, we got beat the day before, just soundly beat. And we were really upset about it, and we knew we were better than that. And we figured out our mistakes data-wise and stuff, and that's where the data got us. The race course changed, not because Formula 1 messed up, but because of the tides and things.
Yeah.
And so when we got it done, man, that was a great night. That was just when I got back to the dock, you know, and I'm dancing in the cockpit, and my guys are going crazy on the dock. You know what I mean? It's just. And you can't recreate that anywhere else. That team sport, that team feeling that you have, that camaraderie you have, that when you work for a goal and you accomplish that goal, man, it's amazing.
Well, you guys are watching Shaun Torrente, the Formula 1 World Champion, chatting with me here at the Race Factory, and we are having a lot of comments popping in here, Shaun. I will have a quick look here. Okay, so Phil is saying, who's Guido's edition? He lost so much over the last. He looks brilliant. I mean, that man has.
Yeah, but you want to know that? Listen, you want to know the only problem with that is?
Tell.
Before,
Yeah.
it's kind of good, but kind of bad. Before, in our tent, we'd always have good treats. You know, some cookies, some this, some that.
Basta.
Now, nothing. Nothing. I said, Guido, why do we have nothing? You don't eat, so no one eats?
Yeah.
What's the problem? He's like, that's correct, Sean. No one eats that. So all the guys, so I have to go to Giacomo because Giacomo has a backpack.
Giacomo is, he loves sweets. I know.
Giacomo loves everything.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you quietly, so no one else can hear. In the container, he has a backpack, and in the backpack, he always has treats. He always has some salami. He always has something in the backpack to eat. So I go and see him and get a little snack from him.
Perfect. Alistair, he's asking, how does the perfect pole position lap feel? Question to both of you. Great interview. Many thanks. Well, it's special, isn't it? You just know when you've done it. I mean,
yeah.
It's hard to
explain. The problem with me is I almost never feel like it's perfect. I get out of the boat every time and go, I could have done that one. I'm just crazy like that. I could have done that one a little bit better. But there was, I think I don't even remember where it was because I only remember the ones I missed. But there was one that I know that I beat the time on the dash that was possible.
Yeah.
You know, because you know how it does your predictive best lap. So I knew what the predictive time was going to be for the pole position. So I knew roughly what it was going to take to get the pole.
Yeah.
We all know that before we go out. And I said, and I beat that time by like 0.2. And I knew it was a damn good lap, you know. But most of the time it's always like, oh, I screwed that corner up, or I left a little bit over there, or I could have done that better. I don't know. I'm insane.
You know what? Funny things happen during these live streams. We learned something now because Phil says, "Come over to Osprey's container. We always get special treats."
Oh, yeah, I know. But the problem is, I don't really partake in most of their treats. That's exactly right. There.
Okay. Let's see here. Mark Hoyder, he is the one building the beautiful RC boats. He says, Sean, what goes through your mind in the last minutes before every race when the hatch is closed?
Please start.
You know, I can tell you, first race I had in Formula One was back in 1998. Okay, I had Pertti Leppala from Finland on one side, and I had who was it? The Baba boat builder, Rogero, on the other side. I was like having the please don't start, please don't start, please don't start. Fuck, it started, you know.
Yeah. No, but really, that's what goes through my mind. But seriously, what I like to do always is I like to have a plan. Like I told you, even if it's about racing, that's why it's so hard right now because we can't plan. But I have a plan. I have a plan that if I get a good start and a plan if I get a bad start. Yeah. Middle, whatever. But if I get a good start, this is my plan. And if it doesn't fire or something isn't bad, I know who's in the lineup. And I go, okay, if the boat doesn't fire good and I have this person, okay, what am I going to do? What's going to be the plan there? How am I going to mitigate the worst case scenario so that I can, because remember, it's all about points, right, Frode? And it's all about your worst day in our deal because we don't have 21 races. So, we have 6, 7, 8 races maximum. So we have to always take points and take more points than we should. So in other words, my job as a driver is if for some reason we have a 5th place boat, okay, for some reason I need to get a 3rd with that boat, and when we have a winning boat, I need to win with it. I can't get a 2nd or a 3rd because they don't, you don't always have the best boat. You just don't.
That's how it is. Sean Bill is asking question, what was your scariest moments in F1H2O?
2 laps to go in Sharjah.
Yeah.
2 laps to go in Sharjah this year. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I'm going to miss this championship by 3 points.
Yeah.
And then Shiap had a problem. And then a scariest moment turned into an exhilarating moment because actually that whole day, see, I can take you behind the scenes a little bit on that. And actually this is a good place because people think it's all, they only see the race. They don't know what's going on behind the scenes. So what happened was in qualifying, I didn't do a great job on my lap.
You were not happy.
Yeah, and my second lap was really good, and I tried to get more than I should have and made a mistake on the yellow. I would have probably been 2nd or 3rd on the dock, honestly. I probably wouldn't have been pole, but I should have been 2nd or 3rd. Yeah. But I put that on myself, okay? So the next morning, I come to the tent, and we had the day off. So the next morning, I come to the tent, and Giacomo has the power head off, And turns out there's a water leak, okay, in number, think about this, water leak in number 6. No, number 5, excuse me. And then he finds another water leak in number 2. So he's looking for cracks. He seals up number 6 in the exhaust chest. He seals that up. He thinks he finds the crack there. Number 2, he really can't find it. So we're hoping that it's just scavenging from number 6, and that's why it's got water over there. So he spends the whole day fixing this thing, right? Putting it back together. And then we spend that night deciding what we're going to do for the race, right? Because, you know, the situation is I need to finish 3rd or better. Excuse me. If Jonas wins, I need to be 2nd.
And he was flying.
Correct. If Jonas wins, I need to be 2nd or better, right? And he's on pole. But if I break, it doesn't matter.
Finished.
Right. But if he breaks, it doesn't matter. So the question is, okay, do we stay not changing the engine and take the risk? Because if we go to the end, he can change his strategy completely, right? And just finish the race, and he's going to win, right? He's only 5 points behind. So if he can get a 2nd or 3rd because I'm starting last. So he doesn't have to push so hard. It takes the pressure off a little bit. So that night we decide, you know what, we can't take the risk. What would we do? If it was the first race of the year, what will we do? Forget that it's the last race. If it's the first race, what will we do? We would change the engine, for sure, because we don't think it's going to make the race. So we go to bed that night. We all agree we're changing the engine. We come back in the morning. We all sit down. We all look at each other. And Guido's like, I don't want to change the engine. And I'm like, neither do I, really. So he's like, all right. So, okay, let's test it and see how it runs. So we test it. And we runs. It runs fine. Seems okay. They pull it out. Giacomo's doing his check. He opens the cylinder. Now it's flaking Nicosil off on number 4. So everything in the world is saying, don't run this engine, Frode. You know, everything's saying, don't run the engine. Don't do it. So I'm losing my mind, right? I'm getting ready to race. You know, I always go to the room and take a nap, always. So I said, you know what? I don't even want to look at this thing anymore. You guys decide. You are better at that than I am. I'm going to the room and taking a nap. So I come back, and I always, before the last race of the year, the last Grand Prix of the year, after qualifying, I get the whole team together, and I thank them for what they do for us, you know? So all the mechanics, everybody, all the people from Abu Dhabi, they get together, and I just thank them for all the work and everything they do. No matter what happens, I appreciate it, because of course everybody thanks them when they win, right? But it doesn't mean we're going to win. We might lose, but I still thank them for what we do. So anyways, they decide to keep the engine. Giacomo works some magic. He grinds it. He does whatever he has to do, right? But we have to run it 2 numbers richer because we're trying to make it fit, right? So obviously that hurts the power a lot, okay? So what do? We run it 2 numbers richer. So I don't have the performance I should have, but it's going to run. Now I have to get more out of it. So I just gave 150% of everything I could get out of the boat. I got out of the boat. I got it to 3rd. It wasn't fast enough to get by Shap. But guess what? Shap wasn't 2 numbers richer and didn't last the whole race. He blew up with 1 to go. And it got me the World Championship. And that's why I was so surprised. And that's why I said in the video, that's what we are. We're just grinders, man. It ain't about all the money. It's about all that work and all that time. Giacomo, you know, on my day off, I spent the whole day, because I left because I didn't want to see it. I spent the whole day go-karting with Matthew.
Hey, Matthew said that. But he also mentioned the results because he was quite pleased to beat you that day.
He didn't beat me. He's lying.
He says that.
Let's put it this way. If he beat me, he weighs 70 kilos.
The day off in Sharjah was the day I beat you on the kart.
Fake news. Fake news.
Fake news is all over. Fake news is all over.
So, yeah, but that's what I mean. Giacomo stayed working on that thing all day, all night, next morning. Why? So that we have a chance to win, you know, and did what it took. And Guido, to his credit, had the balls to make the decision, we're going to keep this motor and we're going to run it. And whatever the results are. Okay, and I'm okay with that. And as a driver, that makes my life easier. My job is to drive the boat.
Well,
not make 58 decisions.
We have Johannes from Racingfabrikken, and he says that you're obviously deeply connected to powerboat racing. We, Racingfabrikken in Finland, try to develop and grow the circuit racing, focusing strongly on the smallest classes. How do you think that powerboat racing can be made more attractive to the spectators? And do you work in any comparable programs?
I used to when I was younger here. Yeah, we did that a lot. But the biggest thing for us, spectator-wise first, is just to get people to the race. Right?
Yep.
Because once you get them to the race, they're hooked. But you have to get them there.
First time's free.
Correct. But you know that you get them hooked, right? Because anybody who sees a Formula One race in person is blown away. A Formula 2 race, even a 45, they're blown away by it. They're like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
How is this not the biggest thing?
Yeah.
Johnny Tomlinson. Do you know who Johnny Tomlinson is? You know who JT is, right? He races offshore here in the U.S. He's pretty big deal. Like, he throttles all the big boats. He's been racing for a long time. He tried to race he did race some tunnel boats when he was younger, back in the late 80s.
Yeah.
And he's like, this is going to be the thing. Like, this is amazing. That was going to be the thing, you know, because it was the competition was so great.
Yeah.
But that's the biggest thing. We got to get people to the race. I don't know how to do it. I'm not a wizard. I don't know how to do it, but we got to get people to the race. And then as far as growing the sport, it's the same. It's part of what we're talking about right now, whether it be good or bad. It's about letting people in and getting more eyeballs on the sport, because let's be honest, I want to be a Formula One world champion because I saw Bill Siebold and Mike Siebold and Tim Siebold, and I saw those people that came before me race, and I said, well, I want to be them. Yeah. That's how I'm going to get there, and that's how we did that. You know, the Carters of the world want to be Lewis Hamilton or Max Verstappen, right?
Of course.
And so so we need to be more in the public eye. We need to make ourselves available. We need to have these types of interviews. Let people see behind the curtain. Let people know that me and Carella don't get along. It don't matter. Like, we're two people, right? Yeah, I don't like him. He don't like me. Okay, and what? So why is that bad? No. You know, we're not all buddies, and that's okay.
Building characters, and that's what we talked about previously.
That's correct. It's the opposite too. Everybody thinks that, you know, me and Merritt hate each other, and it's actually not that at all. We're very good friends. We have not only a lot of respect for each other, but we're friends. Yeah. We talk all the time. It's great. Okay. Same thing with Stark, you know. I laugh at him all the time because he's a fool in real life, and I like it, and it's fun, you know. And we talk, and it's all good. And that doesn't mean when we're on the race course where we wouldn't wreck each other to win. Absolutely, but that's the reality of it, right? So, yeah, I mean, you have more eyes on the sport in any way, shape, or form. And unfortunately, we live in a Kardashian world now. You know what that is, right? Kim Kardashian, all that stuff. That's the world we live in, right? It's a reality show, Instagram world. So that's what we need to do.
And what is there is a repeating question now, which we are going to be kind and answer. What is your opinion on four-stroke power plants in the future of Formula One?
We have to do it. I shouldn't say, well, wait, let me rephrase that. We don't necessarily have to do four-stroke, okay? But we have to do what is available now and what is current, okay? Because the real end game for me, I think, is to have more than one manufacturer involved, right? So if Mercury comes with their four-stroke and somehow Yamaha gets a bug up their butt to say, you know what, I think we can beat them doing this, you know, and get Yamaha involved too, that's how our sport will grow. Why? Because at least especially in the U.S., the outboard market is massive, right? So if Yamaha feels that investing in powerboat racing will help gain some market share back because they've lost a bunch, they'll probably do it, right? So for me, that's why we have to do it. It has nothing to do with four-stroke versus two-stroke. No, I don't care about any of that. Listen, for me, for the rest of my life, till the day I die, when you start a two-stroke motor and you smell that oil, I'll get goosebumps and I'll take me back to when I was 10 years old. Yeah. Right? That's for me, it's time to race. Always. Will four-stroke, I'll lose some of that? Sure. Yeah. But if it helps move the sport forward, that's all that matters.
Exactly. Phil is saying, do you think that was the big mistake of London? Lack of the public viewing? Did we miss an opportunity is basically what he's saying.
Absolutely. Well, let me say this. I don't say absolutely because I don't know all those decisions in the background. Remember, my job is to race the boat. But I do know what Formula One had to do and the hoops they had to jump through to make that event happen was nothing short of a miracle, okay? Between the safety people and between this and between that, all those things that you have to deal with in a situation like that, in a city like that, and in a venue like that, they did an incredible job. Were there mistakes made? I'm sure, because everybody makes mistakes, right? I haven't run a race that I haven't made a mistake, and I've been doing it my whole life. It's the first time they put it in London. I'm sure they made mistakes. But
missed an opportunity.
Yeah, but
they grabbed an opportunity of putting the race on.
That's exactly right. So it depends on how you look at it, right? It's about perspective.
Yeah.
It's not a missed opportunity because we still did it. We were there, and that was a big deal for us. And hopefully we can build on that.
So I have a little clip on XCAT. We're going to drop by that as well. So have a look at this video here.
The great thing about XCAT is that you have a boat that's capable of going offshore, going in the rough water, but with the competition you have a Formula One, where it's very close. There's very hard racing between the teams. It's very close in pole position, so it's unique in that way, and I think that's what makes the class really good. Our goal always is to win, and to win the championship is the big goal. We work hard. They brought in Talib, which is our new team manager, who's very technical. He has a clear vision, a clear plan to go forward, which is why now we have 2 boats prepared properly, ready to race. And I get paid to be aggressive. I get paid to win races. I get paid to pass boats. I don't get paid to go out there and be safe. That's the reality of what I do. I know this. I realize that when I leave Florida, I kiss my wife and my daughter. They know what I'm going to do. They know the risks that I take. They also know the passion I have. We all know what we're doing. It's not a surprise. I know when I strap into that boat what the risks are, but I'd rather take the risk for the win than to take the risk to arrive third. So that's the way we race.
That's the way we race. I've been fortunate and raced XCAT in the good old days. It was called 6 liters out in the Middle East. And now you won last year's championship. Tom Berry-Cotter won the championship this year. How difficult is it to swap back and forth between the XCAT and... I was staying with you guys out in the Middle East in December, and you was like doing coaching in Formula 2, you know,
yeah.
Everything, you know?
Yeah. So that was a fun, like I said, it's enjoying the work, right? So I would test Formula 1 usually 7 in the morning till 9 in the morning, and then take a little break, go over data, and then 11 to about 2 or 3 in the afternoon, we'd test XCAT, and then go over that data, and then do it all again the next day. Make the changes and do it again the next day. So it was fun. It was great. And like I said, my role is different, right? In Formula 1, my role is, yes, to do boat setup and to do all that. But, you know, when you have people like Ati and Giacomo and Guido and all that, they can look at the data and know what needs to be done and then get my input. And then, you know, we work together. In XCAT, it's different. I'm doing a little bit more. So me and Talib do most of the technical stuff with Felix. And we look at the data together. I do the boat setup. I do the propeller stuff, just like I do in Formula 1 with Dave DeWald. We make all those changes. We do all those things, and then we implement them. But in XCAT, I get the extra layer. I'm also with my guys in the boat, you know, and we're training, and we're trying to improve, and we're trying to be more consistent, and all those types of things. So, you know, this year we went into we had just a bad China, honestly. We just didn't have a good race, and then we got disqualified for something that, look, I don't agree with. We appealed it, and it is what it is. It's just, unfortunately, the way that series is run, you know, I left China with 3rd place. I was literally in the bathroom 4 days later and found out I was now in 5th place because they penalized me 4 days later. So we appealed it. We didn't win the appeal. So it put us behind. We won the first Dubai race, which was great to come back and win that race. The next race we were leading and just made a mistake, and we missed a buoy because we were pushing really hard. And honestly, because Tom Berry-Cotter and Ross were faster than we were, but I was using every trick in the book the first day to get it done, and we got a win. And the second day, I was using every trick in the book again, and I had to push so hard that it wasn't fair to follow my driver, because when you push that hard that many laps in a row, he's going to make a mistake. I'd make a mistake over there too. It's not easy to do. So we made a mistake, and we lost the championship at the last race and finished 2nd. And you know what? That's racing, right? That's why we're going to come back, and we've been working hard on that stuff up until this little situation. We've been working hard, and hopefully we'll win it back.
Christopher, he says, tell us a little about the Unicorn.
Oh, Unicorn's fun. Yeah. Now
the smile pops up.
Yeah, Unicorn is my pleasure boat here in the U.S. It's been a great project. It's a 31-foot skater, wide body, all carbon. It's got a 63-inch tunnel in it. And Mercury and I have a good relationship. I was one of the first ones with 450s, and it's been an amazingly fun project. The boat ran 135 miles an hour the other day because, you know, during this, there's not much else to do, so I've been testing the boat on the river and playing with it.
Is that the fastest skater in this category with this installation outboards?
It's the fastest outboard pleasure cat in the world right now. Yeah, nothing's faster than that. So it's been fun. I think the closest is a DCB went 133 the other day. But yeah, it's fun. And then with me, my wife, and my daughter, we went to the sandbar on Sunday and ran like 127 going to the sandbar, just with all the stuff for the beach, 100 gallons of gas, everything. And we ran 127 on the way out there. It was great. We have a really, really good time, and it's fun. It's a great boat.
Which reminds me of a question. Hang on a second. John Moore, he pops in a question for you. He says, a few years ago, I was chatting to your daughter, speaking of which, and I asked her if she had any ambitions to race. Quick as a flash, she replied, I'm sensible. Is the sport globally doing enough to attract younger competitors?
Well, she is sensible, but the thing is, for her, she had an opportunity to race if she wanted to. Yeah. But you got to realize, I want her to find her own way, right?
That's horseback riding.
It's difficult for someone's child when you have the level of success I've had to come in and do that in the sport, because people always expect something from her that maybe isn't right. Maybe she just wants to race and have a good time, right? Mm-hmm. But people automatically expect her to win or do whatever.
I have that problem in the house.
Yeah.
Camilla, she has so much fun running around in the pits with his team overall and so on. That's more important than actually winning the races. Can you imagine? That's why I have no hair. I pulled it out, because I've been so frustrated. In the monohull racing, I was always the one who won races and was doing good. And now my bonus daughter is racing and she's doing it for fun. I was like, what is going on here? Drives me crazy.
Right. So she's become an amazing equestrian. She loves her horses and jumping and all that stuff. And honestly, it's more dangerous than racing, so I'm kind of nervous about that. Yeah. But she's doing great with that. And it's not about getting young people in. I'm lucky. I have a technical background. I'm an engineer. I've done all that stuff. So hopefully she has enough sense between me and my wife, and she does wonderful in school, that she can do better than I can do and be more successful than I am as a powerboat racer, because I'm sure it's possible.
I prepared a little something because since we are talking about your daughter, I'm sure she is involved in this next clip, because I'm changing the background now. It's the coronavirus clip.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because Comparado's always messing around doing stuff in his racing suit. So I said, you know what, we should have a little bit of fun and let people know we're here, right?
Yeah.
So we did our coronavirus video, and we brainstormed. It was a great project for us for a day, right? He gave us something to do. She had some ideas, I had some ideas, and then we started filming it. And she does great edits because she does them for her horses. So and all her jumping and stuff. So she did the edit, she made it and put it all together and put the music. It was great.
And talking about edit, she also made a film for you. I'm sure you're proud. We would like to show it here. Should we put it on?
Go for it.
Looking for a better way to get up out of bed instead of getting on the internet and checking a new hit. Me get up, first shot, come strut walking. A little bit of humble, a little bit of cautious. Somewhere between like Rocky and Cosby's for the game. Nope, y'all can't copy up. Glad moonwalking, and this here is our party. My posse's been on Broadway, and we did it all way. Chrome music, I shed my skin and put my bones into everything I record to it. And yeah, I'm on. Let that stage light go and shine on down. Got that Bob Barker suit game and Plinko in my style. Money, stay on my craft and stick around for those pounds. But I do that to pass the torch and put on for my town. Trust me, on my INDEPENDENT shit hustling. Chasing dreams since I was 14 with the 4-track bustin'. Halfway across that city with the back question. Labels out here, now they can't tell me nothing. We give that to the people, spread it across the country. Labels out here, now they can't tell me nothing. We give it to the people, spread it across the country.
Here we go back, this is the moment, tonight is the night. We'll fight till it's over, so we put our hands up like the ceiling can't hold us. Like the ceiling can't hold us. Here we go back, this is the moment, tonight is the night. We'll fight till it's over, so we put our hands up like the ceiling can't hold us. Like the ceiling can't hold us.
Shaun Torrente, and he's now a two-time world champion.
You were crying.
I'm cry every time. I'm a crier, Frode. It's my daughter right here.
Compliments for the video.
Look how tall she is. She just passed her up my wife.
Yeah.
Look how tall she is. So say hi. You gonna say hi?
Yeah. Hello. Nice to have you on the show. So how is your days now?
Oh, it's really interesting. Like without having to go to school and stuff. It's really cool.
Is homeschool okay or?
Yeah, it's a little bit difficult with like the adjustment, but it's gotten easier.
It's gotten easier, huh?
Yeah.
Well, Camilla, my daughter, she is also home and fighting with all of us for trying to have normal habits and so on. But what do you think we're going to learn from this in terms of communication and so on? Are you communicating with your friends on a different way and so on?
Yeah, well, obviously, since we have a lot more technology these days, it's a lot easier to like communicate and stuff. So, but I feel like it's a really weird adjustment for a lot of them because they're so used to, going to school and having the teacher in the classroom. But there's a lot of technology like Zoom and stuff that have allowed us to kind of helped us adjust easier. So I think it's been it's a harder adjustment, but the technology has made it easier.
You know what? I'm going to challenge you to keep doing them videos because promotion is key to success.
Tell her less horse videos, more boat videos so we can pay the bills.
Maybe that's the situation. Maybe that's the situation. Talking about technology, we have behind me we have a green screen. It's not actually a brick wall, so if I take the wall down, I'm actually sitting in Camilla's living room. So
nice.
I know behind you guys there is the Abu Dhabi boat for all the guests watching the show, but actually it's the trophy wall, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a little bit. There's a few trophies and helmets in there. Yes.
Yeah.
We have a few more questions, Shaun, which I would like to bye-bye.
Bye.
Mark Nelson is asking, is the setup for weight balance different from US F1 to F1H2O?
Yeah, because I think the weights are close. I think they're 1150 in the US, and if we convert ours from kg, I think we're 1215. We're a little bit heavier, but we also have a lot more power. They're 240 horse here. We're 400 nearly. So the boats are very different. Now Rick Hoffman and RJ West have started to build new boats in the US again, which is great. But for a while it stalled out there. There was pretty much only Gary Pugh building new boats. So we progressed a little bit further over there with the way that they run and the way that we balance them, and even further again with our latest version of the DAC with the aero package that we put on it to get rid of the weight in the front that we used to have to run. And it's really incredible like that now. So I would say yes, the balance is definitely different because we have 35% more horsepower.
So we have another question asking how you started your race career. I would then like to tell people that this video is going to stay online and it's going to stay live. So we talked about that in the start. Good question. We have, and Shaun has talked a lot about that. So for the guys who would like to see this episode again, they can restart it once it's uploaded, and it will also be on YouTube. Next question. We are so fortunate to have Shaun Torrente, the Formula 1 UIM Formula 1 two-time world champion, with us tonight. Have you guys from the team Abu Dhabi discussed to bring a boat over to the American series? I mean, Timmy is making a fantastic job on the NGK Formula 1 World Championship over there. Have you discussed it, or has it been of an interest?
No, not really. Our focus is UIM and at the highest level, and Timmy is doing a great job, don't get me wrong. And what they're putting together here in the U.S. is definitely promising because they've got the boat count up and they've got more drivers involved and all of that stuff. So I think that's really good. But I think that kind of lends back to what we talked about before, the engine packages and things like that, right? So they're running an older style 2.5 carbureted engine.
Basically a fishing motor.
Correct, basic fishing motor. So, we don't want to go build that, and then we can run an Optimax. But then I've told Timmy this directly, to set up a 25-second course and an Optimax, like how are we going to compete with a carbureted 2.5 on a 25-second course? It's not realistic, and not only that, is that helping our drivers? Because like I told you from before, we're all about developing our drivers. If it's going to help our drivers, we'll do it. But we don't see the benefit in it right now, other than seat time, which there is. But they don't have enough courses with right turns and left turns. It's a lot of just 4-pin courses. The amount of boats is good. That's great. But it needs to be bigger than a 25-second course where you're running 95 miles an hour. I've seen the data. It's 95 to 105. That's what they run.
Okay.
Our Formula 2 courses, you tested. You're faster than that on a Formula 2 course. Why? Because it's larger. So yeah, right now no. But they're more than welcome to come play with us.
So that's the challenge then. I'm going to have Timmy on the show here in a couple of days, Tuesday actually. I had another question prepared for you because one of our buddies, Sami Seljo, is recently right back home to Finland after being in Sharjah, where his team is based. I think he stayed like 14 days in quarantine down there, locked up, and he didn't even know what time he was going to fly home. Now he is in a 14-day quarantine, living in a small cottage in just outside of Helsinki to protect his family and so on. How do you think you would adapt to that situation, Shaun? It's got to be extremely challenging.
No, I would have gone bananas. I don't know how he does it. I mean, Sammy can probably do it because he's really antisocial anyways. So, you know, that's fine. He doesn't like to talk to anyone. You know, he's Finnish, you know, so he's always angry. So he's okay. But for me, I'd go crazy. Also, being away from family and all that stuff, that's got to be tough. I mean, even for Sammy, all kidding aside, that's got to be really difficult. You know, being away from his kids and all that stuff for all that time, that's brutal. You know, but there's a lot of people going through that right now, unfortunately. So we just got to get through this time somehow. Like I tell everybody, once we get to the bottom of this, like once it starts getting better, I think everybody will feel better. But right now, at least in the U.S., it's just getting worse and worse and worse. So we don't know where the bottom is so that we can start building back up, you know? It's like, hey, you know, Frode, you know, you might be having a bad day or whatever, but once you figure out the problem and you can, okay, it's not getting any worse than this, now we're going to fix it. Now everything we do is going to be better. Yeah. So I don't know how we're going to get there, but boy, do we need to.
You know what? I would like to continue this conversation, but then I would like to challenge you to bring your computer over to the race shop so we can have a look at the Unicorn and the Doug Wright boat and so on. Because you
want to look at the Unicorn right now? You can look at the Unicorn right now.
Oh yeah.
And then we can go.
Can you pop it up? Oh.
I think as long as it's still nice out there, we're going for a boat ride.
Ah, yeah.
Mess up your background.
Oh no, not a problem at all.
Look.
I'm gonna bring in Camilla. She's here now together with me with her dog. Camilla.
Oh, there you go.
Oh.
See, we're gonna go boating here in a second.
Perfect.
And let's get out of the house for a little bit.
Yeah, that sounds like a deal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Shaun, it's been absolutely fantastic having you with me tonight. We have had so many great comments and questions. We might end up doing this again.
Man, I really enjoyed it. It's been great. It's great to at least talk about racing since we can't do it.
Definitely.
Have a great night. Thank you for inviting me. Whatever you need, we'll do. Okay? Whatever you need, we'll do. Let's get this sport out in front of people, and more than that, let's get racing again.
Definitely. So if you enjoyed the show and if you want us to make another episode, give us a thumbs up, follow us on Facebook, or this episode will also be uploaded in a couple of hours on YouTube. So we will try to continue and build the show and the boat racing awareness. Can you pull down the green carpet behind you? Is that a lot of work?
No.
Because I remember that was a pretty impressive wall.
You can kind of see it there now, right?
Perfect. Yeah. We are both on.
These are my most prized possessions right there. Because, you see, I'll show you why. On both of them.
You have them signed, have you?
Medals with them, but on both of them. This is the championship helmet from last year.
Yeah.
And it has every signature from every guy on my team on it.
Fantastic.
Because, and those are the guys that made it happen. Without them, that medal wouldn't be possible. It's great to have.
Perfect. Well, Shaun, thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of the day with the family. Take Isabel and your wife out for a spin in the boat. And for that, I envy you.
No problem. Hey, have a great, stay warm, okay?
Definitely.
Thanks again.
Bye-bye.